public, because these are very, very closely interrelated things. It all boils down to how we answer the question, what is all this? And I like to start out, except they didn't give me a mic that could run around. I'm just going to point to somebody at random, namely, you! Hi, I'm an old person coming up to you, and I say, what is all this? What do you say?
It's a place where people enjoy cartoon animals.
That's a good, excellent answer. Wonderful answer, wonderful answer. What's the answer I most always hear? We're not perverts! That's the basis of this panel. It should be called, Don't Say We're Not Perverts.
So I will ask the question of everyone in the room. What do you think inspires an idea stronger? When you talk to somebody, when you try to explain what you are, do you explain what it is that you are, or do you tell people what you're not?
The correct way is to say what you are.
What you are. So if a nice little old lady were to walk up to a person on a motorcycle, and the person on the motorcycle was asked, you know, well, what are you? Why are you doing this? And he says, oh, don't worry, I don't go around beating up old ladies, and I'm not into drugs, and I don't get drunk, and I've never had 50 speeding tickets on my motorcycle. What kind of an idea has just been put into his head?
We are a very, very visually oriented species. You need something to drink. Here.
Thank you. I'm not giving it back.
We are a very visually oriented species. When I speak to you, when I make face noises in your direction, you form pictures in your head. For example, if I say tomato, you get a mental image of a tomato. You get a picture of a tomato in your head, don't you? You know, if I say wine bottle, you get an image of a wine bottle. If I say, oh, thank you. If I say,
I'm waiting for you to say something.
give me my damn wine. Thank you. If I say, I am not a criminal.
Richard Nixon.
Richard Nixon, yes. I am not a crook. What's the first thing everybody had in their mind? They had a picture of him with a ball and chain and striped pajamas, didn't they?
To be fair, they always do.
Okay, true, yes, he was a crook, okay. But the first thing people do when someone comes to them and says, what is all this, is they get defensive. Because they think that this person who's asking the question is a troll who's already seen that dreadful CSI episode, who's already seen awful things in the media about us, and they immediately say, I will save the fandom! So they immediately jump into this whole list, this litany of things that really do not describe the fandom, that really do not describe the fandom, but you've now put these pictures in the person's head. And once those pictures are in the person's head, that's what this person is going to refer to. Now, here's where we get into the media. You say something, give me my bottle.
So one of the other things has to do with word choice. And I'm going to take a little bit of liberty with the word choice. I'm going to ask you, if I told you, which is not true, I'm just going to use these words. If I told you that I was an expert in the liturgy and liturgical services, would you have any idea what I'm talking about? Yes. How many people, raise your hands, how many people would know what I'm talking about? If I were to tell you that I was a member of the constabulatory agents, who would know what I'm talking about? Okay. If I were to tell you I'm a priest, I'm a police officer, how many people would know what I'm talking about? When we use the term anthropomorphic, it is a $5 word. It is a big word, and it does not mean a lot to a lot of people. So when you say, what is all of this? Oh, well, we are into anthropomorphics. Would. Yeah. You basically just threw a word at them that most people don't know.
And that makes people feel dumb, and they don't like that. It immediately puts them on the defensive, and suddenly they feel that they don't want to talk to you.
Now, if you say, oh, this is a convention for people that like cartoon characters, that like costumes, that like puppets, that like drawing, It's got stand-up comedians in it.
Did you notice all the pictures that marched across your head when you said costumes, puppets, artists, stand-up comedians? These are all neat pictures. They are positive pictures. They are pictures that you like. What if I say, it's a furry convention? Would. Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I'd like it, but I don't think anybody else might not know it on the street.
Don't throw buzzwords at them. A furry convention, they don't know what that means. It's a funny animal convention. They don't know what that means either. Use phrases that people understand. Keep it simple. And once you've explained it to them, stop talking. And see if they want to learn more. We see this one a lot, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We see the person says, what is all this? And the person gives them a 15-minute dissertation about the history of furry fandom. And the next thing we see is the poor old lady's running down the street with her hands over her ears, and the guy's chasing her, shouting, wait, I haven't told you about our charity work yet! If they're interested, they'll say, oh, tell me more. If they say, oh, isn't that interesting, and go back to their drink, you're done. Thank you very much. You've done a great public service.
Sometimes less is more. And,
Yes.
and that's the key. It's one of the things that we've learned, especially when dealing with the media, because the media love it when you start talking. They can get you to say, a good reporter can get you to say anything they want you to.
Yep.
And they have an idea of what they want you to say.
For example, you, sir, you work for the Postal Service, am I correct? No? Not at all.
I do.
Really? You do? Okay.
6 years.
So, I must be thinking of somebody else, not Postal Service. Steelworker? No. Okay. He's been to this talk before. Yep. You notice, he's not volunteering any information to me, is he? This guy just did. Yeah. The reporter is trying to get you to say something interesting. He's not interested in your story. He wants what's called a sound bite. When you turn on the news, do you notice they never have the camera sitting on a guy for 5 minutes? The camera will pop to him for 15 seconds at most, then pop to an image over here for 5 seconds, then pop over here for 10 seconds. Those are called sound bites. They're very, very short. They need to get the interesting part in there. And they will interview you for 10 minutes, and you'll think, boy, this is going to be wonderful stuff. They will look through that 10-minute piece of footage for the most interesting, juicy stuff that's going to make people want to tune to the 11 o'clock news. This is where the story of the orange-haired man comes in.
So this happened outside of this building. This was outside of the Westin when we were having a press event.
Yep.
We had the media here, and the media were coming in, and we had authorized the media to come in. We said, please come in. We are going to allow you to interview our attendees. We will be present because most of our attendees, when they see the cameras, they run. They don't want to be on camera because they know what's happened in the past.
Yes. If you see a news crew or what is obviously a crew of reporters and a staff member, myself, KP, Cydex, somebody with a director ribbon or a staff ribbon is standing by, that means these people contacted us, we checked them out, we invited them, they're probably going to give us a decent treatment in the media. I get between 25 and 35 requests in the month before Anthrocon from various people. The local stations, WTAE, WPXI, ABC, NBC, all the networks, KDKA, can't forget KDKA, I love them. We get requests from local shock jocks, from G4, from Comedy Central, from HBO. Guess who MTV, guess who I say no to? The people who say, we want to do a show called Furries After Midnight. No. And every single one of them, all 35 of them, contained the same sentence. We realize that furries have had a bad run in the media, but we intend to. I don't read any further. I usually send back, you know what, I've heard that before. Every piece of bad press we've had, all the way from the original MTV episode many years ago up to Tyra Banks, has contained the disclaimer, we realize that furries are very nervous about the media, but we're not going to do anything like that. That's called bullshit.
They want to do their own thing. They want to find something that they can get that nobody else has. That is what we are good at. The folks that have been media trained, we are good at getting them to do what we want, as opposed to letting them say, we want you to let us do what we want. So one of the things that I did was, in particular, this particular reporter, I told him, you know, this isn't the convention in the lobby. The convention center is where the convention is, and no other news crew has asked to go over there yet. His eyes lit up, and I said, would you be interested in seeing where all the people really are? And he was like, yeah, we might get a scoop. So took him over, and with a lot of other people, a lot of other directors and people present, he started looking at the registration line, and he started seeing a bunch of fursuiters playing around. He did a very nice piece where the fursuiter stood up and he broke through the fursuiter line, and he said, but it's not all fun and games. These folks dumped $4.4 million into our economy.
We like seeing that.
That is how we help the media to portray us accurately. But it's done in a way where we are encouraging them using their own tactics. We let them know, this is something your compatriots have not gotten yet. Would you like us to show you? And when they get that kind of an idea, at that point they're thinking, extra ratings. I'm going to get a shot that nobody else can get.
This, by the way, is informational only. Don't try that at home.
No.
Again, as I alluded at the very beginning, the first thing people want to do is they want to defend the fandom. I'm going to save the fandom by dispelling all. Don't try to dispel anything.
It's happened a lot in the past. It will happen in the future.
Yep.
You'll get roasted for it.
I was told that WPXI a couple years ago was setting the camera crews up outside. Now, when the camera crews are inside, that's a bit of an environment that I have a bit more control over. I can take Leather Yiffy Fox with the strap on and have him thrown outside in a small box until the cameras aren't there. I hear the same complaint all the time. Uncle Kage's trying to control the media. You're goddamn right I am! Because if I don't, who will?
The question I would ask of you is, how many of you feel comfortable coming to Anthrocon as an event?
Yep. You're happy to be here, you're proud to be here.
How many of you would feel comfortable if you had seen news reports last year of people running around in very questionable attire, talking about what they want to do in their private time all over the news? Would you think Anthrocon was the same kind of event?
Exactly.
That's what we're doing. We are maintaining the image, which is what Anthrocon does. We are the largest furry convention in the world at present. We don't maintain that that will always be, but if it is, so be it. But we will always try to maintain an environment that protects our attendees. We want you to feel comfortable, we want you to feel safe, and we want you to understand that you can tell your family where you are and not be embarrassed by it.
My parents think I'm at an anime convention today.
I'm just saying,
That's up to you.
It's up to you, but we want people to feel comfortable saying, I went to this convention. What is it? It's called Anthrocon.
Let me ask a question. Why do they think that?
They just told them I was.
And why didn't you tell them you were going to
I didn't
Anthrocon?
like explaining what furry is.
And the reason he had to feel that way was because of other people who didn't know how to shut their goddamn mouths in front of news cameras. Okay, am I whitewashing the fandom? Maybe. Am I lying?
No.
No. Is furry all about sex? It is not all about sex. Does sex exist in furry? Yes, you are young people. Young people occasionally think about sex. I was young once. I think I thought about sex once when I was in college. But you don't sit down at an elegant dinner party with Eleanor Roosevelt and John Kennedy and say, so, yes, I rather like to do a doggy style with my hamster. It's not the sort of thing you bring up in polite company. You do that in private, but people parade it around, and I don't know, I don't understand. Oh, we're all so open and accepting here. No, we are not. We are tolerant. But if you give us a bad image, this whole convention is going to go away. We rely on the goodwill of the people of Pittsburgh. We want them to enjoy having us here. So when I get word that there's a WPXI news camera team outside the building filming, I had to go down to investigate. And they were interviewing a gentleman who had bright orange dyed hair. And I walked up behind the camera. See, you have to be very careful. The camera sees all. So I walked up behind the camera and was just sort of watching and listening to him. And I caught the moment when he decided it was time to dispel all the rumors that he imagined everybody in Pittsburgh had already heard. He said, you know, a lot of people think we're a bunch of sexual deviants. That's not true. I think maybe only about 10% of us are sexual deviants. And I was behind the camera. And with the camera still rolling, he looked past the reporter and said, oh, I better shut up. The chairman's giving me a look. This is why I say we are our own worst enemy.
So let me ask you a question. If you had told your family you were going to a convention, they said, well, what do they do at this convention? And you had said, well, the producer of Sesame Street is going to be there, and he's going to be debuting a new character for a worldwide puppetry show. And I'm going to see a Japanese acrobat who is going to be doing acrobatic stunts involving stacking chairs and juggling. And I'm going to be watching some of the best costume character performers on the planet compete for the title of Greatest Costume Character Dancer. Do you think your parents would have thought it odd?
No.
See, but that's what we talk about, and it's all about the presentation. When you say Anthrocon is a convention of artists, and there are lots of cartoonists, Mr. Andy Runton is going to be here, and he actually just told me he's talking with PBS now about a possible new television show for Owly. Just happened with Jim Martin this morning. When you say that these are the people that are here, this is some of the things that are going on, you're putting very positive, very happy images, things that are like, ooh, that sounds really cool, maybe I want to go too, kind of a thought, as opposed to, well, I'm going to this place just to meet some friends, and...
We're not going to have sex!
Yeah, we're not going to do anything wrong, but...
Especially not in fursuit.
It's all about, there's a confidence level about it, and when you're very nonchalant, you say, oh, there's really cool people. There's comic book artists, and there's going to be a couple of TV producers, and I heard there's even a Japanese television show that's going to be there. You're not spinning it, you're completely telling the truth.
Do you know what I find most depressing about this situation? The young man had no trouble saying he was going to an anime convention. You ever been to an anime convention? They have entire official programming tracks dedicated to tentacle rape. And your family's good with that.
Ignorance is bliss.
But yeah, so the idea there is when people ask you what's going on, if you look at the programming guide, you look at the website, you say, well, these are some of the people that's going to be there. Oh, I'm going to try to go meet Dev Madan. Well, who is he? Oh, he's the creative director for PopCap Games. It's a furry thing. He's going to be talking about Sly Cooper. But you're also in the process saying, I'm going to meet one of the executives who created a game that's worth $25 million. You know, or $150 million, depending on the title. When you talk about Mike Kazawa worked on Ren and Stimpy, and he's worked on a lot of other television shows and comic books. You've instantly changed the entire direction of the conversation from something you're embarrassed about to something you can actually say, I'm going someplace really damn cool.
I don't understand why so many furries are embarrassed of the fandom. Have we created that bad an image out there? And it's that attitude that people project that only perpetuates the image. If you act like it is something shameful, people will treat it like something shameful. I could retire on an island in the Mediterranean if I had 50 cents for every single youngster who's come up to me shyly and said, my parents are okay with me being gay, but I can't tell them I'm furry. Just for Christ's sake, dude. It's like, Mom, Dad, yes, I like to have deviant sex with other men. Oh, that's okay, son. And I wear a tail. Got him! Heathen spawn of Satan, get your tail hence! Boy, I wish 2 was here. He usually says that part.
But, so, hopefully, this kind of information will, you know, when you say what kind of convention are you going to, you can actually take a look at the website and you can say, these are some of the cool things that I'm thinking about doing that weekend because the convention is very diverse. And if hopefully that will give you something to say, well, you know, furry isn't, you don't want to say furry isn't this, furry isn't that, but what you can say is, furry is a place where you can express yourself. You can enjoy the company of many creative individuals from the puppeteering, character performance, and art communities who are bringing their own creations to the table in a non-commercial environment. Because that's what we are. We are a group of fans.
Fluffy.
And we're fluffy. So we're a group of fans for the fans. Everything we do here is on a volunteer basis. Nobody pays for it. Nobody pays to have this stuff done. People volunteer to do it.
Let's get back to the media itself, because some folks have already had the experience with the media junk we had on Thursday. Let's say that a person comes up to you with the big microphone and everything. Let's say, okay, there is even a staff member standing by, so ostensibly these guys are okay. They start asking you questions. This gentleman here in the front had an excellent answer. It is a cartoon convention. What happens if they start asking you questions you're not comfortable with? Because when I do interviews, and I've done hundreds of them, the inevitable question will come up, you know, so is this some sort of kinky sex thing? How do you answer that question? Anyone want to venture a try? Yes.
You don't.
You don't. That's wrong.
You can't say
If you
no
clam up, that means yes. Don't say no comment. No comment means yes. No means yes. Yes means yes. The only way to answer that question is to deflect it away. I get asked that question, and usually I let out a laugh and drop my head and say, yeah, we've heard that one too. And I'll tell them honestly, there are young people at this convention, and here's a big news flash for your viewers. Young people once in a while have sexual thoughts. And I say, look, you show me any fandom out there. Why do you think Wonder Woman wears that outfit? When we idealize a species, we are also idealizing the physical image of the species. You notice I didn't say no. So, if you have had any sort of professional training dealing with the media, you can play these games with them. If not, sometimes the less said the better. And one of the most effective tactics is to play dumb. That sounds funny, but these guys only have, tape is precious. They don't have a lot of time to put sound bites on. If you don't know how to answer the question, you say, I don't know, they're just going to keep moving on to the next one. But again, you have to be very cognizant, body language. Don't look guilty. Oh, I've seen that before. So is this all about sex?
I think a really good example that I had to dealt with the Post-Gazette a few years ago. There was a reporter that came in.
They're usually very good.
And this was a newsprint reporter, not a video reporter. And there was a gentleman who was a former attendee of the convention who had been arrested for a specific crime. This particular reporter had that information and kept asking about, well, this person was an attendee, what do you think about that? And I was like, well, to my knowledge, this person's not an attendee now, I really don't know. I'm not in the habit of getting into people's personal lives. He asked it 3 times. On the 3rd time, I just kind of just looked at him and I said, you're asking that question an awful lot. Are you interested in that? Is there something about you I need to know? At which point, he got very defensive and changed the subject. Again, I never answered the question. I wasn't going to volunteer any information. But I asked him a question, why are you so curious about this, and actually put it on him. Is it something about him I need to be concerned about?
That is an actually very effective tactic. It takes practice. Don't try it the first time. But I used the same thing. There was I can't remember the woman who interviewed me on the radio. It was a radio interview for one of these people, I don't know. And she, of course, it started the same way. Well, we understand it. We're not going to. I thought, yes, you are, you bitch. I know. I'm ready for you. So they had me on, live. Okay, we're going to have you on just a few seconds here. Okay, get ready. Here's what we're going to talk about. Blah, 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 blah. And then I hear, the click. Okay, we're back live now. On the phone, we have Dr. Samuel Conway, who's going to talk about the furry fetish. I thought, yep, there it is. I was waiting for it. And I said, well, first off, I think it's a little inaccurate to call it a fetish. It's really no more a fetish than knitting is a fetish. And, I went on, I just kept saying, look, it's a hobby. This is something just people like to do. And I tried to put the positive spin on it. She was kept, she's sex. It's all about sex. And at one point I said, ma'am, you really do seem to have a very unhealthy fixation with sex. Have you thought of talking about that with somebody? Well, this has been Dr. Samuel Kage from Anthrocon. Thank you very much for being on the show. And the fursuiters lined up behind. That's a great backdrop. Fursuiters lined up behind. And they were happily filming and talking. Yes, yes, I'm going to talk about it. Here's fursuits back here. While the cameras are rolling, a gentleman in a husky fursuit, oh, some of you heard this story, came bouncing up behind one of the fursuiters, put his arms around him, and started dry humping him from behind. I was behind the camera going, so I crouched down again, can't be on camera, right? Crouched down behind the fursuiters, and I'm behind them going, hey, bam! Grabbed, threw him at Scary, said, get him out of my con! I've not seen him since, I don't know what they did to him. I was terrified when that 6 o'clock report came on. I was sitting up in my room, rocking back and forth, sweat pouring down my forehead, waiting to pull the trigger on my clock, just ready to end it all. The report came up, and here's it all going on, and you see the husky coming up behind, and for about 4 seconds, the video, while the audio was rolling, cut away to a panoramic view of the dealer's room, and cut back just in time to see the husky going, whee! Off like that. That is called having a good relationship with the local media. We have fostered that. We are very, very proud of that.
They actually do like us.
Yes.
Here. They really do. And one of the things that they understand, I had to do a radio interview last year, and the radio talk show host was being very serious, and he actually said, we've heard that it's possible that, you and the convention might leave and take, your $3.5 million per year if there's not another hotel built. And I was like, well, we call Pittsburgh home. We really love it here. However, if we want to continue growing, we do always have to keep an option open. And it's not that we would ever want to leave Pittsburgh, but if something happened to where the convention could not grow and we could not continue generating money, we might have to look at another venue. Well, their conversation completely ignored me at that point, and they were talking about what can they do to build another hotel. So again, when we talk about what the media thinks of us, they now recognize the financial impact that this convention has on this city. They don't really care about the fandom at large. They care about what's happening to Pittsburgh. And because we have such a good rapport with the city, the local merchants, and the Visitor and Convention Bureau, they want to make sure that nothing bad happens to us. The Civic Convention Bureau actually admonished a local radio station last year for pulling a stunt that involved trying to take photographs of furries and do it in any way possible, which involved some people actually assaulting a fursuiter down the road. And they almost had their FCC license revoked because of that. So this city likes us, and they don't want anything to happen to us, and they respect us.
All of that could change in the blink of an eye with the wrong portrayal on the news. And again, I catch a lot of flack from people, you're trying to control the media. Yeah. If you are downstairs dressed like, fucking McGiffey Fox in the lobby, I'm going to ask you to go away while the news cameras are on. My pocket is buzzing again. This is probably something horrendous. Please pardon me. Oh, yeah.
So any other thoughts, questions, observations? Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone, media-wise, with the fact that there was so much money contributed to Fernando's and also how the SPCA
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
In fact, there are several news outlets this weekend are doing stories on Fernando's itself. I had a call from the Post-Gazette and from the Trib. I thought, oh, they want to talk about Anthrocon. No, they wanted to talk about Fernando's. I gladly told them the story. Couldn't help mentioning Anthrocon now and then. But the important thing was there that it was There was no giant corporation. There was no big company came to his aid. There were well over 500 individuals who threw out $5, $10, $25 where they could to save a local business for the simple reason that we see him as one of us. They like that. Okay, more media.
More media.
Okay, here's one. How do you recognize a reporter? Okay, he's got a giant camera on his shoulder with this big microphone with the big furry tribble around the outside, right? Maybe not.
Wind stopper.
What?
It's a wind stopper.
Oh, very pleased to meet you. Uncle Kage, Mr. Windstopper. Great. Oh, it's called a windstopper. Okay, well, I thought furry tribble was cute. So, I am walking up, and a man comes up to me and starts asking me little questions. Hello, I'm a furry walking by. La, la, oh, you must be an artist drawing in your little book there.
Oh, I'm just taking a few notes.
Oh, well, that's okay.
When you see people doing that, that's a red flag to us. When you see people that are just kind of standing there in the corner, looking at things and writing things down and not wanting to talk and not having one of these on, those are red flags.
Yep. Here's another red flag, especially in the modern age. Hi, how you doing? Well, so, what do you think of all this going on here?
Here.
Well, is this all about sex?
Here's another question. I'm going to bring our green fursuiter up here.
Yay! It's cute and fluffy.
This is cute and fluffy. This is Flash. So Flash, I'm going to walk up to you, whether I have a camera or not, but you may not be able to see it because you have a limited field of vision. There may be a camera over here. Someone comes up to you and just says, I'm just curious. You don't happen to have sex in that, do you? I mean, come on. You can be honest with me. Have you ever a little bump and grind action going on? You sure? You know anybody that ever has? Oh, come on. You can tell me.
You know, the best answer to that is, dude, you're sick. Get the hell away from me.
Do you kind of see the point? A reporter that wants to get a reaction is going to continue asking the question over and over to break you down in different ways until they get the answer they want.
Ah, here's my favorite. This is my favorite. This is my...
Wow, are you like a dog? You're a dog, but you're green. Why did you choose green?
Because it's awesome.
So, but green dog. Wow, I've never seen that.
And blue.
And blue, green and blue. So, green and blue. Is that what? Do you really think you're like a green and blue dog? Well, then why do you dress like this?
Because I like my character like this.
Oh, you must really like your character. Not really. Then why are you dressing like that? Especially those paws look really fluffy. Why do you put? Why is the fur longer here than here?
Oh, bad.
Do you see what we're going with?
Yeah.
A reporter is going to start a very innocuous conversation. Oh, this is a cute costume, but oh, it's not a regular dog, it's green and blue. Why'd you choose green and blue? Well, do you really think you're a dog? Ding ding, they're trying to get you to act like you're a psycho. No, it's a little creative excursion. I'm enjoying the fact that I can portray a character. Oh, well, but why'd you choose blue? And why is it designed this way? Why are you wearing pants?
So,
I don't have a full costume. I can only afford these parts right now. Perfect answer. If someone comes up to a fursuiter and says, why are you wearing shorts? Maybe I'm trying to cover up something. Bad answer.
Yeah, which one we've heard.
It's one we've heard. Bad answer. And they actually did the whole hip gyration thing as well. A reporter is going to try to catch you off guard. If you notice when I asked the question, oh, so why is the fur longer here than here? Why is this so fluffy? It's not a question you'd ever expect to hear. So most of the time, you're going to stutter. You're going to stammer. You're going to be thinking for a minute. That's what they want you to do because they want you to say the wrong thing. When he said, I ask, well, why do you have pants? It's just a partial suit. I can't afford a full suit right now. I'm working on it. It's a good answer. It's a costume generation process. But if you said, well, it's what I want to do, you've left everything completely open to the imagination at that point. It's what I want to do. Well, what do you want to do?
If you get absolutely backed into a corner, and you cannot say no comment, you cannot say get away from me. When you're on the camera, whatever your reaction is going to become the recording. It's like the internet, it's forever. There are many ways that you can duck out of it, and they all involve turning it back on you. KP already gave us a beautiful example. One that I've used in the past. The guy is trying to put you off your guard. He's trying to make you stumble. He's trying to get you off balance. So while he's firing the questions at you, you listen to the questions and you stop and you say, I'm really sorry, I'm distracted. You got this thing. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's you don't. I was saying that's, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now you put him off balance. You put him ill at ease. You say, okay, that's much better. You really have to trim. Yeah. Yes.
I just have a question. This is like a silly suggestion. I'm wondering if it might work or it would be a really bad idea.
Who knows?
If you were wearing a big fursuit and the person who was interviewing you was like a TV personality with like really shellacked or poofy hair, could you like pat them on the head and something like stuck you?
As a fursuiter, I can tell you, because I am a fursuiter, I have multiple costumes because I portray different characters. When a fursuiter is interviewed, most of them will probably be like Monty. Monty does not speak at all. Monty only pantomimes. He does not talk. And that's his code. He doesn't have a movable jaw, so he's not going to do anything. If Monty, and I know the player, I know Monty. If somebody starts doing something to make him uncomfortable, he is going to make you feel like a jackass.
He's good at it.
He's very, very good at turning the situation on you. I have seen him start twirling people's hair. I have seen him start poking them, literally just poking them in the arm while they're talking. Just, yep. But if you notice what he's doing, if there is a reporter involved and he starts doing that,
Furry.
it is virtually impossible for a reporter to push an agenda when this is happening.
Actually, they were doing that to the WPXI guy. He was trying to be serious, and they're all like leaning on him and pawing on him. He said, "I can't do this."
So, like I said, as a performer, and again, I would caution folks, don't necessarily try this yourself. I've been a costume character performer for almost 15 years, and I've been doing a televised puppet show for 11 years. I have a lot of improvisational experience. If you're not used to it, you will say the wrong thing. It will happen. You might get lucky once or twice, but unless you know what to say, and you know how to kind of self-censor, how to breathe and take a pause and think about what you're about to say, the wrong word will come out, and they are going to zone in on it, and they will not let you forget it. They'll keep drilling and drilling and drilling.
Again, you get lost, turn it back on. That really is the only thing you can do. Because if you stammer, you stumble, you look down at your toes, you suddenly try to change the subject, you say no comment, you've given them what they want. It's all psychology. The whole thing is psychology. I was given very, very intensive training. I used to be with the American Red Cross. Disaster workers get this kind of thing too. The reporters want the information. They want the number of bodies. They want, where all this information is, and they will try to get it out of you. They taught me how to take care of these things. When you're a disaster worker, playing dumb is the best. My very, very first experience, I was driving an emergency vehicle down in Arkansas, and a reporter literally came up and shoved the microphone through the window of the truck right in my face and was saying, "So was this a tornado?" And I said, "What?" He said, "The tornado. Was this a tornado?" I said, "Tornado where?" And he said, No, here in the town." I said, "Oh, you mean like this morning?" He said, yeah, was it a tornado?" I said, "Well, we had this really big storm, and the what do you call the wind was, all blowing stuff. I looked out out the you know, from the what do you call it, then the guy was gone. They're not going to put Goober Pile on the news.
Yesterday I was touring a podcast group, and they were very friendly folks, and they were really, really interested. They actually were with haunted houses here in Pittsburgh.
Pennsylvania.
No, they're local. They're just down the road. And I was touring them around, showing them the Headless Lounge. They were looking at all the gear, the equipment. They're like, this is really fascinating. So I was sitting down, and they were asking questions, and everything was really normal up until one point. And it made my bells start going off. And the question... No, they were just looking at the headless trees and the fans and things. But they asked, the one lady asked the question, so he said, I've got to ask you, you know, I'm sure you get this a lot, but I've heard about furry dating services. You know, online dating. You know, what do you think about all that? What would your answer be to that? I'm curious what you would say.
I'm not affiliated with that.
Not affiliated with it. My answer was, well, because I know they exist, I'm aware they exist. I was like, well, I've never really had a problem of needing a dating service of any type. So I'm sure they're out there, but I don't know how they work because I'm in a relationship, I'm happy, I don't need a dating service. I've never explored it. Oh, okay. And she moved on. When people are starting to go down that road, that's how you can turn things. You know, just, I'm sure it's there. It might be there, but I've never used it because I don't need it.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so that was something that happened yesterday, and the rest of the interview process was very normal and very, very above board. But again, it was a point where something could have gone wrong, and had I started talking about whatever dating service, bye, Mom.
Sorry. We're getting punchy.
Yes. He does have your badge, by the way.
I think they'll know. Let him try.
He's not as cute. Oh. He's just more suave. More debonair. But yes, there are a lot of things that you can say. And again, unless you really have some experience with it, when someone throws that question out at you very innocuously, you might not even realize they're about to do it. And when it happens and they catch you off guard and you're in a really happy mood and you just say, oh, a dating service. Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, I know about it. Oh, tell me about it. Okay, they just locked you into a box that you probably don't want to be in. So you have to really be thinking when you're dealing with media. The whole, I'm going to portray the fandom well, doesn't always work because they may have a different agenda. It almost worked. You look like a pirate. A really gay one. Careful. Anything else? Because we're kind of wrapping up. We got 10 minutes left, but anything else anybody has? Deal with the media. In short, don't do it if you're not really comfortable and really experienced. You really do want the media training to be able to answer reporter questions. Anybody have any thoughts? Comments? Yes, sir.
Yes, a little earlier, you mentioned about the person being approached asking about sex. I can vouch that actually happened to me once. So it does happen.
Oh, it happens a lot. Happens a lot. And like I said, last year, Howard Stern sent one of his lackeys down here. And Howard Stern does not have any intention of being a media outlet as a news reporter. He is out there to just try and find somebody that's going to sound like Bubba Hotep and, you know, really do the funniest, weirdest thing that he can get on camera, because that's part of his job.
And people will do it. As I said, we are our own worst enemy. When Tyra Banks was looking for someone out there to go on her show, somebody sent me an email and said, oh, Kage, you should do it. I said, you're kidding me. I said, here's what's going to happen. And this is what depresses me. Everyone who's in this room right now doesn't need to be here. The people who need to be here are probably out talking to Howard Stern right now. I said to this guy, listen, these people are going to send out a mass email all over the fandom. All of the decent, intelligent, down-to-earth people are going to run away screaming. until she finds some schlub who's going to say, oh boy, I get to be on TV. That schlub is going to get on the show, and Tyra's going to make this person out to be the most whacked out, perverted nutcase that ever existed. You mark my words. 3 months later, that's exactly what happened. And yes, lovely lady.
Yeah, she used to live in my hometown. She doesn't anymore. Most of the local community was not very happy.
So I'm afraid that the damage has been done, and to this point, cannot be undone. The only thing that Anthrocon, Furry fandom, all of you can do at this point is damage control. Yeah. Have these things happened? Have people talked about them? Yeah, I heard about that. It was a load of crap. Let me tell you about this. Again, deflection. Steer the conversation where you want it to go. I don't know anything about that, but have you seen what happened down the road there? Let me tell you about Fernando. Let me tell you about the charity work. Let me tell you about this wonderful, cute, the bouncy, fluffy Canaan thing here. See? And he'll start poking the guy. We gotta watch our time. Any final questions, concerns, things like that? That was another reporter calling up, wanted to hear about Fernando. I told her to call me back in 5 minutes and I shall talk to her then. We done good. No last questions? Boy, we're either terrified or bored. Thank you all very much. I will stand outside and sit there and drink my wine until this lady calls back. But thank you all for being here.